This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. All right. We're beginning to get our calendar in order. We have a brief agenda this meeting. One is to basically, oh yes, start with two efforts which are beginning to sort of build up a full head of steam. Starting with the die-to-die phi. Shahab, do you want to? I can stop sharing if you'd like and make you a presenter if you have anything to share, or you can just speak.
Yeah, I can verbally update it. We had a great meeting this week. Thanks for everybody that who participated. The update from us is that we kind of identified basically the wish list that we have for collecting the file information from there, and individually we have some basically contacts to approach those companies to extract the data that we want. In particular, we're going to reach out to Sci-Fi, GUC, TMC, Etopus, NVIDIA, MediaTek, or Wavius, Samsung, Broadcom, AMD, Synopsys, and UCLA to collect the new file information, and we decided to update some of the existing ones such as AIB, OpenHBI, Bo, Cadence, Rambus Analog X, CanDo, and Alphabet. These are basically the list of the files that you would like to update or add to the existing structure. And in terms of the FOM update, we are considering to a little bit modify that, either to add some kind of latency and cost model into it. With that effort, I believe next week, Kritikesh, Elad, and Anu, they're going to actually share their thought about how they can get and modify the FOM to the next level. And that's all we had. And I believe, Bapi, you wanted to, at some certain point of time when we get a little bit more mature on the FOM and the file that we like to include, you're going to invite each file owner to Friday's meeting to have their updates.
Tuesday, yes. Excuse me. Yeah, so roughly, Shahab, you're thinking timeline-wise, you're thinking that by the end of June, when will the form definitions be done, you think, the rate, at the pace at which we're going?
I think we need at least maybe 2 months to get to the position that we have something to present, and basically people can come in and plug in their numbers and also the present what they have.
Okay, so the rough sequence is develop the form and any other metrics of interest over the next 4 to 6 weeks, get them ratified within the 2 weeks after that, and then we're looking for volunteers to own each file of interest. Is that about right?
Correct.
Okay.
And on top of that, one more update was that we decided to at least have it on the Get this time instead of the Google Excel sheet, and manage it better to the outside the work. If anybody has any idea and suggestion on that front, we are open to.
So roughly, if you're interested in figure of merit calculations, please attend the Tuesday meetings. They're beginning to make some good progress. And if you have a file that you like, please please own one file and prepare all the data for it and present it at a Tuesday meeting as the definitions become easier. Any questions for Shahab?
No, thank you very much. I mean, that was all of the update that we had for this week.
Okay. Next effort that's sort of beginning to get. Yes, Bill, you were going to ask something? No.
Are you asking me, Bill Chair?
Yeah, you went off mute, so I thought you had a question.
Oh, yes. I think last time when we talked about having a presentation at one of the Electronic Packaging Society conferences, and I contacted the organizers, and they are interested. So I think our focal point for that would be Professor Jose Shuani at University of Illinois. He
Okay.
is a member of both of our electrical design conferences, packaging design conferences. So I was just thinking that the material from Shahab would be a perfect materials to bring to these conferences because they would very much want to learn from this group over here.
Do you happen to know the deadline or the for when this material needs to be ready for the conference?
Well, actually, I think Lei Xiang has given this information to Jose, and we hope that he will join this conference. But otherwise, why don't I make a introduction between you and him and Shahab, and maybe a 15 minutes, maybe just an email contact, and an introduction would be very good. I don't have the dates at my fingertips, but he should have it on his fingertips.
Which conference?
Well, we have two conferences. One is in US on the I think in Asia it's called EDAP. In US, I do not remember what it is called.
Sure.
But both of these are the electrical design conferences from the Electronic Packaging Society.
Sure. I used to be on that committee, but is that Jose Chitain from UIUC?
Yes. You know him?
No, I'm not him. I know him extremely well. I know him. We that conference, actually, we founded it early on, a long time ago. So, but I know him extremely well. Yeah.
Well, you are one of the founders. Wonderful. So you know what it is. It does attract.
Yeah.
On the
It's about electronic packaging, electricals and that kind of stuff. If it is what I'm thinking it is, but I think that's the one. Yeah.
well, I think it is very good if we can bring it to the well, I can just see over here, all our participants are from industry. And if we can take
Yeah.
that to the academia, because those conferences are a mix of industry and academia.
Yeah. It used to be though smaller conference, right? Around maybe 200-300 people. It's very topical. It's focused on the electrical performance side of things, but I think it's a very good one. Actually, you have a good point, especially for the interconnect, that kind of stuff. If you can keep me in the loop, I might be able to help, Bill, but thanks.
Well, the other thing that we could give it a little publicity would be at the we have the ECTC coming up on May 31st, and I can take that information there. May 31st would be 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks from now. Well, less than 3 weeks, and maybe we can insert it in one of the programs. We will see what we can do.
That one
So-
probably. Maybe one last question, if you don't mind, folks. I mean, what are we trying to do there? Are we trying to do a workshop or something?
The HR has a all-day workshop on May 31st
Okay.
at ECTC.
At
It's
ECTC.
actually both ECTC and iTherm combined. I do not know how many of you are planning to attend that conference, but that is the major global packaging conference
Yes.
at San Diego. So, so every one of you who are interested to attend the HR workshop, but do not want to attend the rest of the ECTC, we have a free registration. And so contact me if you want to do that. That is the May 31st.
Oh, nice. Let me put that down. Okay.
I'm sorry?
No, I just want to mark that in the minutes.
Okay. So that is all the message I have. Thank you.
Okay. So in summary, maybe Alliance present these results at a packaging workshop in about 3 to 4 months, and then maybe highlight this at the upcoming ECTC. Those are the two things, right?
Bobby, I still miss. What do you want to do at the electronic workshop? You want?
We're right. So you're joined in late. We were talking about Shahab's progress on the die-to-die sheet. So we're trying to. It was the roadmap for the next steps on the sheet. So if you have a file, like if you can get somebody at AMD to talk about one of their files, and the immediate next step is presenting the figure of merit, and then after that is to compare each file, review each file based on the updated figures of merit.
Okay, and do you want to do that at the electrical conference? You're saying that?
Or present the results. That was Bill's idea.
Oh, I see. That's great. Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Then the second effort that has gained some momentum this week is a link layer effort, thanks to Elad. And Elad, do you want to sort of give people an update with the link layer meets on Thursdays at 9 a.m. We're trying to get it up and going again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can give a quick update. So, as I think folks are probably familiar, but perhaps not, you know, so there's a, let's say, generic lightweight link layer spec that Ventana has developed and is working towards contributing, you know, to ODSA as being sort of a general framework that we can build on top of. The focus in the short term and perhaps even for the medium term is going to be essentially on mapping that to various on-die, you know, buses / protocols that people may be interested, particularly for disaggregation applications. Ventana themselves have already done this for Kai, so they'll contribute that as part of the spec. I believe they've done it for at least parts of AXI 5 Lite as well. So the near-term focus is really going to be on fleshing out things further in terms of all the different variants of AXI that are out there. So particularly AXI 4.5, AXI Stream as well. That's maybe slightly less sort of immediate, but we've actually got, you know, good crowd of folks that are showing up. We've got people assigned to various sub pieces of that in terms of starting to look at both how would we do sort of the mapping between this generic link layer that has been defined and kind of its flows onto these specific protocols, as well as to answer some of the more general questions that come up. For example, you know, how do we want to handle the various optionalities that all of these buses tend to have, whether that be data widths or optional signals or so on and so forth. But that's where we're at. And like I said, we've got people on the schedule for the next several weeks, you know, sort of making first cuts at all these things that I just mentioned. So if anyone's interested and or would like to contribute, please do show up.
Yes. So if you're building anything based on Bow, if you're building anything based on Bow or OpenHBI, well, OpenHBI is developing a link layer, but if a lightweight link layer, this is the meeting you need to attend. Okay, then the last significant thing with an update, again, it's Elad, is I think the Bow is getting ever closer to being signed. I think a handful of companies have signed the CLA and the FSA as well, I suppose, or not yet. The FSA is still and Elad, anything else you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're on track to getting things into the incubation committee for the upcoming meeting in June. You know, to be frank, we've kind of been on the technical side done for quite a while. This has all been logistics and legal things, but I think we're finally past that barrier. So that's very exciting. We'll finally get that officially, hopefully soon as 1.0. If anyone happens to be sort of interested in sort of giving review and feedback, everything's out there already on the GitHub. So please do take a look. But yeah, we're almost past that barrier.
Actually, on that topic, I'm really keen, if at all possible, to have somebody be a reviewer, someone who hasn't participated in developing the spec, give one last technical review, much like a journal paper or a conference paper is reviewed. If you know of somebody who's willing to do a technical review of the content, not to correct it, not to change it, but not to change it or make new proposals, but to essentially provide sort of the editorial review, could you please reach out to me or Elad, and we'd like to get that done by Memorial Day weekend. We're looking for anybody who's interested in reviewing the spec over the next 2 weeks, and that'll give everybody a week to make any changes suggested by a reviewer, so that we can present it to the incubation committee in the week of the 6th. So if anybody's interested in reviewing a die-to-die spec, now is a really good time. Either please reach out to me or Elad. I've pinged a couple of people, but we can. I haven't had a full response yet. But I'm really like one reviewer who hasn't participated in the spec development. Okay, that's 3. And then DJ, you want to do any updates on the HIP chips?
Yes. So the final agenda is published. It's on the OCP website. I can flash it here, but everybody can access it on their own. It's a pretty exciting lineup. We are going to be very much tied up from morning 8:30 to 5 p.m. In fact, we had to ask for extension of the time for room access, which I think ISCA organizers have agreed. So overall, we are pretty excited. I think there is some background noise. I think somebody
Swami,
can
I'm going to mute you for a second, okay? I think it's
perfect. Yeah. So all the submissions which everybody made, including folks on this call, they are all accepted. And we are really excited to have this first workshop organized at ISCA. And hope is that we are going to gain from this, and next year it's going to be even bigger and better with more information about chiplets, bring academia into the mix. And I want to give a special shout out to the OCP Foundation and Archana. She's not on the call here, but she has done a lion's share of working on the background, organizing, reaching out to people. This is a messy work because everybody is busy. People are, fragmented in their thought process. So chasing people to get abstracts, titles, emails, lot of, busy work which never gets recognized. So actually, I want to take time to really appreciate the work OCP has done. And I hope to see all of you there in New York. The conference is on June 19th, and it's going to be exciting. So please show up. I think first time we'll all be face to face. So very excited about it. And I see Tawfiq here. Tawfiq is one of the program committee members along with many others. So Tawfiq, do you want to add anything else?
I think you covered it very well, DJ. Thanks. Nothing to add from my side.
all right. This conference is a big deal. So kudos to DJ and Weifeng and Archana, Tawfiq, and everybody else who's participated in this. It's just, I think it's a wonderful outcome from our efforts. Let's see. All right, the last item on the agenda is the great fight. So we had a discussion last week after the Friday meeting, and roughly this is where things are. And I think we haven't settled on. There seem to be really three debates. Debate number one is what got us started out. In my mind, are we doing enough with the spreadsheet to help organizations decide how to choose a die-to-die fire? Do we need to do more? We need to frame that better. And I think there are two other debates which sort of got conflated with this debate in my head. One is, will a single file meet industry requirements? In my mind, this is the debate that really deserves the title of the Great Fight. And there's a second interesting debate in where how does a company start building or participating in a chiplet ecosystem? So this is my take on the three things. And at some point in the next few weeks, now that we've got this clarity on these are the three topics, we've got to sort of sit down and just essentially burn a few meetings on these issues.
Hey, Bharti,
see whether we're doing everything right. Yes.
are you sure the first question is a debate? You maybe they're all your participants have the same answer to that. I'm suspecting. No, not this one.
Actually,
the one below.
That's a really good question. So maybe that's what we should spend the next. I was going to let everybody go, but it's if anybody who wants to stay, I think this is the last item. The key question is this really a debate? Good point.
No, not this one. It's a single file meet industry requirement.
Oh, you're talking about this one.
Yeah,
okay, so maybe the question to settle here is which of these are actual debates?
Yeah, because I have a feeling the first question you might get the exact same answer from everybody.
Okay, so let's start with the easy one. Is what we're doing in the spreadsheet enough? Is this a debate or not? Is this debatable or not?
I think that's a debate, personally.
Yes, it's debatable. Okay, anybody disagree that it's debatable?
Well, no, I would say yes, it's worthwhile. I don't think I think this is the value of understanding the nuances of these different ones that feed into whether you can answer question one or not.
Okay. The second one is, will a single file meet industry requirements?
I think the answer is no, and I don't think that's debatable, honestly. But I'll let others.
I can debate you on that one.
Huh?
Okay,
Well,
then it's debatable.
Yeah, the other thing is, are we still talking industry standards that an ecosystem can rally around versus, proprietary in-house ones, or is there are there two types of standards?
Well, I think you just answered the question of whether it's debatable.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's debatable.
Okay.
It is debatable. Yeah.
Okay, and is this a panel or a debate? This feels more of a panel than a debate, but this seems important. There's a reason. It seems to be a reason why many companies attend this. Is this a panel or a debate?
Arguably, yeah. So it's a debate, I think, but arguably nobody can really start until you've defined what they are. Arguably, otherwise you're at the risk of your people putting lots of effort into something that doesn't become the chosen one. So that's what is challenging for people to get started.
Okay, so should we do them in this order then? Anybody have any objections to going to these 1, 2, 3?
I think it's the right order.
Yeah, no, that's very good.
Okay. All right. So
challenge the first one. I mean, I guess that one doesn't feel like a debate, at least to me, in the sense of,
yeah,
like, what are we really debating there? Like, this sounds more like a tactics or strategy question than it does sort of a real, you know what I mean?
It's providing for the debate, I think, is what it's.
I can debate you. I think the question in my mind, should we actively recommend versus then, give a spreadsheet, basically say, hey, if At least in my mind, that's where the debate is. Should we actually help?
That's a little bit of a different question then, right? In other words, it's should we attempt to make a recommendation or should we provide data as opposed to should we be doing more with the spreadsheet?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
the
what this
spreadsheet
is. Come on, man.
data that then
That's
drives
unfair.
question 2.
Sorry?
The spreadsheet provides the data that drives question 2 and the subtle difference in the question that Shahab just mentioned. So I think you can't have the debate without this spreadsheet. So I agree with the previous speaker that this is the data that allows us to have a good discussion, a quantitative discussion about whether you can answer whether one single file is good enough or not.
Yeah. And also, let me ask you differently, right? Let's say I'm a small company and I want to build, a die-to-die interface. Is your team doing enough to help me? Basically, if I go and look at your spreadsheet, is that good enough? Okay, I read enormous amount of spec. I read different data from those different things, OpenHBI or BOW, and I can't make up my mind. What do I really need? So the question to me is what we are doing enough to help that company, the smaller company or whatever, make the right choice, basically, between all these interfaces, okay? And I certainly have my answer to that question, but to me, that's a different way of saying the question, I think. Maybe
I think you're arguing about question 2, the single file, or because the spreadsheet will start with 20 files, and we're trying to get to is a single file achievable, and we may get to no, but maybe 2 or 3 are, or we may get to yes. So I think all you're doing is you're redefining question 2. I think in question 1 is still just not a debate. Data.
Maybe not exactly, because I'm assuming the answer is no to 1, but I know it's debatable. Because if you have a single file, then you don't need any help. Everybody picks that file, and you don't need the spec, you don't need the spreadsheet. It's a single file, right? But
right.
Like you said, if you went to 2,
you're arguing about the wording of question 2. I think. Do we need 1, 2, or 3 files to meet industry requirements? Is what you're trying to say. You're saying the answer to a single, is no.
Actually,
well,
I mean, is right. Like if there's only a reason for a spreadsheet to exist if a single file can't meet requirements.
Right.
I mean, the right answer is this goes and this. I mean, maybe it's self-evident, but it's what.
I thought, yeah. I'm surprised that's debatable, by the way. But
you need the spreadsheet to provide the data for the arguments. The spreadsheet will highlight the strengths and weaknesses of all the different standards, and either you make a compromise and you say, well, this one in the middle is a perfect balance of everybody. It's not the best of everything,
but is that enough? I think. Let me tell you where I'm going. Okay, what the question is: should we actually make a recommendation? For example, should we say, in those circumstances, HBI is a better overall interface, OpenHBI or whatever, than BOW? Or should we not make those recommendations and references and just say this is a spec for both? You decide.
I think we might end up with narrowing down to that. If the debate ends up actually there's two PHYs, there is a transceiver PHY and a bunch of wires type PHY, which HBI is one, and we all agree that HBI is a better one, then it's HBI, and maybe we recommend 2 PHYs.
We're having the debate here.
Exactly. I'm trying to set the scene as opposed to. But you can't have the debate without the data. Otherwise, it's just
well, I mean,
no. But Alan, to counter what you're saying, the data exists. I think the key question is: do we need to do more with the spreadsheet or not? That seems to be the big thing. And I think it's fair to say,
refreshed and maybe simplified. It seems to have many parameters that I don't understand all of them. So I'd like it to be refreshed and brought up to date and simplified.
I think we're saying the same thing in some ways.
Then we're all in violent agreement.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that,
Can I make a suggestion?
By all
Because
means.
I think we're slightly overcomplicating this in the following sense. The real question, I believe, is number 2. The issue with number 2 is one has to agree on what set of metrics matter to the industry and how you evaluate them in order to answer question number 2. So my suggestion would be to kind of keep this simple. I think the topic is really number 2. And however, in the course of having that discussion, everybody has to say, whenever they take whatever their position is, they have to explain, here are the metrics that I believe are the important ones and why I'm taking the position I am in terms of either yes, there is a phi that will, meet all these metrics, in a good way, or no, here are the trade-offs between the metrics.
I think, yeah, but
well,
but
in that discussion, Elad, what you're doing is providing data to update the spreadsheet, and we update the spreadsheet with the input from each position.
Yeah, but that first question is still valid. I'm asking you right now, okay? If I want to build a die-to-die interface, is that spreadsheet you have enough for me to go and build the right one?
I believe the answer, well, I'll be careful. I believe if one frames things the right way, the answer is yes, the data you need is there. The problem is, and this is why I framed things the way that I did, I think the point that both you and Alan are raising is that, hey, there's a lot of stuff there, and so people don't necessarily know how to look at the spreadsheet and come to the right conclusion, which is why I was suggesting to frame the debate the way that I was, in the sense of, I think the issue is not, is there data, it's having people sort of say, look, this is what matters about this data and how you should interpret it, and therefore here's why I came to the conclusion I did. And different people will obviously have different ways of doing that, which is why it'll be a debate.
Yeah, so which is why I think you just proved the point that it is debatable, basically, because I think you told me a lot of yes and no, right? And I think that's by the way, that's the first question we were trying to answer, basically. So I think that question, maybe you want to rephrase it, but it is valid and it's very central to what you guys do in this team. Are we doing enough, basically, to enable answering all those questions, basically, for the person who does not understand all the the nuances, does not understand why open HBIs can do 4 gigahertz and the other one can do 5 gigahertz. They read the spec, they read the table. The question, can we do something, a little bit easier to make their life easier
I completely understand what you're saying. I just want to suggest a slight phrasing change to help me, because if the way the thing is phrased right now is why I sort of have the problem with understanding it. I believe what you're actually saying is not, are we doing enough? I think you're more sort of saying, or rather, I think what you're suggesting is, let's debate what are the things that really are important, and therefore how to help people make decisions. As opposed to,
maybe,
are we doing enough?
Well,
I think
that's yes, go ahead.
Maybe question 1 should actually come after question 3. Basically, 2, 3, 1 should be correct order.
2, 3, 1.
Not at all. Not at all, because you need the data to have the discussion. Okay.
No, because if you convince yourself that there is only one single phi that you need for industry, then there is no value for a spreadsheet. First,
I agree with you, but does anybody? Yeah, I agree with you, right?
No, you'll never have the debate because you won't hear. See, I can put myself in your head, Shihab, and you're looking at it from one particular angle, and I know that I look at it from a slightly different angle. And the reality is, are we both jaundiced in our own angle?
Wait.
We're not looking at the whole picture. What we need to do is we need each player to actually say that that parameter is important in the spreadsheet and that parameter is not, and we need to simplify the spreadsheet and we need to agree and we need to argue our own individual points as to why we think that's a very important parameter.
But the debate was not
Wait,
supposed
guys.
to review the
Go ahead, Chad.
spreadsheet. That's two different things. That this debate is not a correct, basically, venue to review the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That's happening on Tuesday.
So I think I'm convinced. Look, who more than three, four, three against? Who can make? Is there anybody who can make a convincing case, a simple, straightforward case in about 3 to 5 slides that a single FI
Well,
will
I think,
meet industry requirements or won't meet it?
you know
It
what,
depends on
Bapi?
your criteria.
Bapi, give me 1 second. Suppose it's true, right? That doesn't negate the first question, because the answer to the first question, when you go ask, hey, are we doing enough? Whoever arguing, making that argument is going to say, yeah, we are doing enough. All you need is this 1 FI. So don't bother. Just go use the 1 FI, no matter what, what are your constraints. I don't think that's gonna fly, honestly. But if you really think that's debatable and somebody wants to make that point, that may be an answer to question 1. We're doing enough. ODSA has done everything. Yeah. We're doing enough because it's a single FI and that's it. Go, everybody in the world, build with that FI.
No, but
Sorry, let me. I don't think anybody cares if we're doing enough. I think what people care about is what are the metrics and the ways you should evaluate things to then be able to answer number 2, right? So this is why I keep objecting to the phrasing of number 1. Like,
no, but let me ask you a question, right? Because I went through this process with the different folks. Okay, so very often, for example, you go, BOW says 6 gigahertz, the other guy says 7 gigahertz. Okay, so whatever these people say, but when you go to the second and third and fourth layer and asking, why are you 6? Why are you 7? You find out maybe some people were a little bit more optimistic in their models. There's no fundamental, differences. Is it our role to make sure actually we do enough to sift that out and say, no, this is not really higher bandwidth. This is really just the 2 teams are making different claims. So I think it's, I think at least that's to me what prompted the first question in the first place.
Wait, don't call them first. Okay, let me give them labels rather than for one single FI. All right, I think, look, we got to draw this because I've been going around in circles on this. They're stupid labels, but it's better than nothing.
But I mean, I guess I think Taufik's point, which I agree with, and then and then is maybe a separate, right? Like I guess what I'm trying to do is trying to clarify that there's one discussion to be had about what are the metrics and what are the ones that matter, and why, and entirely separately from that, there's should ODSA be taking a different role in attempting to curate, etc. Whatever data is provided.
But they're both under the broad label of, are we doing enough with the spreadsheet? I mean, yes, the nuances are different, but they're sort of both under, today we're just sort of saying, here's spreadsheet. And
I think to the prior point, the answer is to are we doing enough with the spreadsheet is clearly no, because we've been debating what the hell this question even means for this long. So.
Yes. So okay, let's drive. So this one, I don't know if it's a panel or if it's just one person leading a debate. Is there anybody? I mean, Ila, at the risk of, or anybody who's willing.
I can make that argument.
Meaning yes or no?
Meaning yes, I can make the argument that one can define a single FI spec that could meet the broad industry requirements.
May I ask, just to be clear, is there anybody else who can make? Because you're 3-3, right? You don't want to do a 5-1 debate.
No, we're just doing 1-1. I don't want to. So let's say. So let me rephrase this. This is not a single hypothetical FI. I think that the key question is, can a single current FI meet industry requirements? Is a question, because otherwise we get into the land of proposing a new hypothetical FI that can meet all the requirements.
So yeah. I would go with Elad. I would say yes, but it would need what we need to realize, it would need, this isn't the best at this parameter or that parameter or the other parameter. It is the best balance of all of them for an industry-wide standard that the whole ecosystem can leverage. And so the answer would be yes. Now,
can I ask?
Sorry,
can I ask? Yeah.
Go on.
When you say yes, which one? Give me one. Name one for me.
Wait. Hang on. No, let's not get into debate here. Hang on. I've got one guy to take the pro side. I want
No, that's what I'm saying. It depends on your compromises, Tawfiq.
But that's a question. You don't want to compromise, and I think you're saying no.
No. So, well, no, I can't say. No, I can't say yes. And it depends on the data, right? So if I'm thinking I'm AMD
wait, Alan,
or I'm Intel, then I do my own proprietary die-to-die as I do today. But that's not an industry standard. If I go back to the 1980s, there was an industry.
I think.
Guys, hang on, please. We're doing the debate now. I want somebody to say I can take the con side. No. Is there anybody? I'm not smart enough to do it. Is there anybody who is who is well versed to say yes? I can make a reasonable case that no, it cannot. No,
yeah,
there is no.
I can't say no. I actually, when I hear Helen, I think he's saying no, and I can definitely say no because he's saying, remember, hey, you meet this, but you compromise here. That to me meaning a no. Meaning I can add one that is going to meet both. For example, cost.
But how many levels of compromise, Tawfiq? Is there 50 levels of compromise? So we got 50 different PHYs?
No, wait. We save all this for the debate. I want to. So let's go on. When do we schedule this? Today is. Can we schedule this for the week after Memorial Day? And it doesn't have to be like a well-formed thing. But it is in our interest to make this case. It's a motivation for. We're making 2 PHYs, for God's sake. We have Bo and OpenHBI. So somewhere clearly there's enough people who believe a single PHY can't meet requirements. So
or if it's serial in nature versus parallel, or it is, there's so many. I mean, you have so many different requirements.
Right. I think. Well, sorry. Let's be careful. So I believe. So okay, fair enough. Maybe we should clarify. I believe the question here is, can a single PHY be defined to meet the needs of the industry for chiplet applications specifically? Meaning, within a package, one chiplet talking to another, not for the purposes of sort of obviously replacing PCIe or things like this, right? I think the question is more narrowly for chiplet applications, can a single PHY be defined that would meet the industry needs?
Now I think you're bounding the problem there as well, and you're bounding the argument. Why do we have a problem with inside the package of chiplets?
Well, that's our scope right now. So we can always go and say no, we need others outside the package, but there's a reasonable scoping for. Let's put a date on this. Date wise, what today is the 13th? Wait, today is the 13th, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
When we say inside the package, Ila, do you mean by memory also included? Or we are just talking about the ASIC disaggregation?
Well,
this is the thing we've got. See, this is good because in my mind we need 2 or 3, and I think what we've got here is we've got a memory, we've got an inside the package die-to-die, and we've got a pluggable chiplet, which comes outside the package, which brings tremendous benefits system level wise.
So Alan, why don't you join the con case that you can? Yeah, I think I'm with Tawfiq. I keep hearing your contributions are saying no, you can a single PHY cannot.
Okay.
No,
all right.
So
okay. I'll
really
agree
to define the question because
I'm on the no. I'm on the 2 or 3 is where I'm on.
Okay.
Well, that's a no.
No, yeah, sorry. So and we're all talking about different questions.
I guess I was saying it could be argued that one would do the job.
Okay, one at a time, guys.
It depends on your compromise. So yeah, it depends on the way you look at my. If we want to make it 1, we could make it 1. But my desire probably suggests there should be 2 or 3.
There's like a pro con and a maybe by Alan.
No, he's saying 2 or 3. 2 or 3 is not 1.
Yes.
No, I can argue 1.
Wait,
but
guys, hey, hang on. I want to put the thing we've gone down. So first, let's put a date to this. I think this is a good first debate, and then it makes a natural foundation to whether we're doing enough on the spreadsheet in parallel with Shahab's work. So
actually, I am a maybe. Actually, put me down as a maybe, because I think there's a strong debate to be had. Is if one is so powerful, then are we willing to make enough of a compromise in one of the parameters?
All right, so we're going to burn a meeting on this. Which data is which date do we will you gentlemen be ready? The week after Memorial Day?
Is that the
When is
third?
that? When is Memorial?
6/3. I think that's 6/3.
Yeah, I would be ready. I think I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, Elad, 6/3 works for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anybody else want to take any one of these sides, the pro, con, or the maybes?
For that question, I'm on a no side.
Huh?
You put me on the no.
All right, so you and Tawfiq join on the no.
6/3 would be difficult for me, Bappy. I've got a conference that I'm presenting at.
I don't like, by the way, the maybe, because that's the universal answer to everything.
All right, so let's make this a tight debate and say pro and a con. Okay, so Alan, you put maybe is a no.
Then if you want to call me a no.
Yeah, and then you can just contribute to the debate. You can work with these guys offline, hopefully, please. And let's get this, because I want to get, we really need to make the case for why we need the spreadsheet and then add to it to help organizations make decisions. Yes. Anybody else want to join Elad in the pro camp? Maybe somebody.
But again, just to be really clear, the question is, can a single FI meet the industry, technical, and business D2D requirements for chiplet applications? Right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about all FIs for all possible things. We're talking about very specifically that question.
Yeah.
Single FI. And I think the key is technical and business.
Yeah. The only boundary condition I want is a current or public or private FI, not like, yes, if you made this new Uber FI that will meet everybody's requirements. Anybody else wants to join Team Elad? All right, Elad, I'll be on your
can
team.
I make one last suggestion, if you don't mind? If
Sure.
Alan is truly maybe you want to put him in the yes, and this way it's 2-2, but if it's a maybe, but of course, whatever Alan thinks.
I'm a former professor. I'm used to being ganged up on.
So I do believe there is merit to a single one. If you want success, can I give you an example? There was a great fight.
No.
So put him yes, then put him yes, right? Put Alan as a yes then.
Yeah, put me as a yes, because OpenTAPI, Gen Z, and C6 couldn't get their act together, and they went 3 separate ways. And look at the disaster. They went nowhere. And then we did CXL. We rallied around the one, and CXL's won out. And so the 3 ways didn't win with the fabric wars of
I
6
think
years
ago. It should, not just is like, okay.
Yeah.
How about some?
That's the problem is if we don't come up with one, then we're going to fail, and you'll just get whatever one of the biggest incumbents decides is the best way to go.
We can go software defined on this. I'm voting for software defined SerDes.
Okay, all right. Yes, it can and should.
That's gonna laugh out of me.
Okay.
Is there a timeline on this that is a single FI for the next 5 years or the single FI for eternity?
Well, if it's software defined, you can have a single one for eternity.
For how long?
And the software instantiate more lanes?
If you want.
In real time?
Okay.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if for most of the sort of digital level, it doesn't really see the analog level of SerDes. You can separate that out and have as many lanes as you like doing something that make it look like DOW or UCIe.
Populate as many lanes as the one that has the most in the standards, and then you can just adapt.
Yeah, you need to separate the two things. What the digital level protocols look like and what the analog's actually doing.
Yeah. So Kevin, are you talking the protocol or the FI?
You want to separate the issues.
Right, right. So
I mean,
won't-
UCIE is a digital definition of communication. That's why it does say in that document we looked at about doing it with optical. You know, there's what does a bit stream mean, and then
Right.
there's how you generate the bit stream, and then how you decode and encode the bit stream. They're all separate things.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
If you mash
so
them all together, you get into trouble.
My response to people these days about which one to use is it's alphabet soup. Just put your spoon in there and you'll pick out one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, a smart analog front end and a FPGA, you can do it software defined.
Okay, we're coming up on night now.
That
I'm
turns out
going to draw this to a close. I'm going to draw this to a close. So it looks like what this has really devolved into is a sequence of debates, all of which seem to answer one question: how do we help companies get started in chiplet-based design? And we're really answering three questions. One is there a single fight to rule them all? And then is the spreadsheet doing enough work? And finally, the last question is, how do you actually get started? Those are the three. And so we're starting with a single file debate. We've got a pro of Elad Allen and a con of Tawfiq and Shahab. Does anybody else want to volunteer?
Happy. I can't make June the 3rd. I'm presenting at a conference.
Can you just give, please give Elad your input, and I will be your mini you as your rep next to Elad.
Okay, Elad, if you, I don't know if I have your email, but maybe we can get a quick get together.
Sure. Yeah, I'll send you a message right now, actually.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to volunteer? Nick, DJ, Bill, Michael, Farouk.
When is it?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. Let me just look at my calendar. I'm buried.
Bobby, I know he's not on the call, but I remember.
So this is our June 3rd. This is just the same time flight. This same time slot.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go on Elad's team.
You want to go on Elad's team? All right, Elad, you're getting followers.
Team members, not followers.
All right, Nick wants to be on Team Elad. Anybody else wants to join Team Tawfiq and Shahab? Anu is, yeah, I'll add Anu to one of these.
Yeah, I think she said, is she here? Because I remember, you're right. I remember she's said she would join.
Oh, I'll ping her. So she gave me a heads up that she couldn't join this week. So okay, this is perfect. I think the great fight is now actually, the great fight really is a 3-round fight, and these are the 3 rounds, and let's see where we end up in about a couple of months. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.